Hey everyone, what a beautiful day it is today. Today is Yae Miko's rerun, the one and only, and I will be her salesman for today. So there has been a lot of changes since her initial release, and I would proudly say that Yae Miko is easily a A+ tier in Genshin, and in my heart a S tier. And here's the reason why. Dendro completely changed her. She doesn't function the way how we used to use her. Before she was like an off-field unit. Now you use her on-field because of Aggravate and Hyper Bloom. So Yae Miko is really a quick bloom unit now. She's a good sub DPS, especially for characters like Alhaitham, maybe Tignari, and other Dendro units. She could proc Electro very easily and has like zero downtime. Her damage ceiling is very high now because of Dendro. So of course there's countless amount of reviews about her going over her kit. You could check out those relevant YouTubers. But basically her skill has 3 charges and her burst, depending on how much of her E-cast you have on the field, it would proc and obliterate the enemies them with around 4 instances of electro damage. Now when building her, it's very simple. You stack some EM, you have a good amount of attack as well, and you have good crit rate, crit damage. If you want, you could build her with some energy for her burst, but majority of her damage will be coming from her auto attacks. And no, her auto attacks isn't anything special. The multipliers isn't that high, but that's the thing, she's basically a Hyper Bloom driver. And yes, her skill does relatively a good amount of damage and her burst as well. But I kind of realized like most of her DPS comes from her normal attacks. So I'll show you a quick example of a team that I really love with her. So you proc Dendro here. You get her 3 charges off and they will do a decent amount of damage. And then you introduce Hyper Bloom into it. And now you could just stay on field and just keep doing this. And that's it. Yeah, so as you saw there, her Hyper Bloom was doing like around 20k damage, and she doesn't really have that much EM. I'm using 4-piece Gilded Dreams on her, so I go with the HP Flowers, Attack Feather, Elemental Mastery Timepiece, Electro Damage Bonus Goblet, and a crit rate or a crit damage circlet depending on how your build is. Now this is my build here, 83.3 to 19.5 with 133 energy recharge. Now I could get this crit damage up to around 250 and 260, but I've done so much testing and having more crit rate is better with her because with Aggravate, she doesn't proc it each hit. It's once every 3 ticks. Alright, so the first hit there was it, and then it procs again. So that's why you have to stack a good amount of crit rate with her. Because if you don't proc that aggravate damage there, you lose out a ton of damage. Now since the release of Tignari and Alhaitham, I don't really think that anyone gave her the praise that she deserves. She acts as such a great electro enabler for them, so they could trigger aggravate. And this is our next example here. Now for her weapons, Kagura's Verity is her best in slot. But in case the RNG of the weapon banner F's you over, you could always use the wit set. It's very strong on her. And she could take advantage of all of the buffs from it. Before Dendro, we didn't even have a reason to stack Elemental Mastery on her. But doing so will increase her Hyper Bloom damage and her Aggravate damage by a ton. Now if you don't have these weapons, and you have the BP, you could use this as well. You could use the Skyward Atlas. You could use the Lost Prayers to the Sacred Winds. She's a very flexible character when coming to weapons. And if you're early in the game, Favonius never does anyone wrong. You could even throw in Sacrificial Fragments because she takes advantage of Elemental Mastery. Emerald Orb will work just as fine too if you're a beginner player, because she could trigger this effect very easily if you pair her with a Hydro unit. So you'll get good amount of Hyper Bloom damage here because of the EM substat, and the attack bonus, you can never go wrong with it. Now with Team Comps, this is one of my favorite teams for her, but it's a kind of expensive team that most of you may not have. But that's the thing, you don't really need to be using all of these expensive 5-star units. If I had to guess, and if I was a new player that just got Yae Miko and I wanted to build a team for her, first off I'll start with a Denjo unit. If you have Kole, you'll have to just use what you have, right? Most likely, you'll have a Yao Yao, and I have done past gameplays and showcases with Yao Yao, with Yae Miko, and it worked just as fine. It may not be that consistent when proccing Hyper Bloom, but it might just be enough if you don't really have any other Denjo units. The best Denjo unit that you could use is Nahida. Nahida is hands down irreplaceable for Yae Miko if you have her. The Denjo Traveler works just as fine too, it's just he's a bit more finicky and you have to build a good amount of energy recharge to keep his burst up. If you just recently got Baiju, he's a very good unit as well, and his buffs and his heal will keep her alive, and the small shield that he gives is actually kind of beneficial for Yae because she's kind of squishy. Now, if you're going to play her Hyper Bloom, the way how I recommend you to play her, I usually use Yelan with her because Yelan is one of my favorite units in the game. But I will have to say in certain scenarios, Xingqiu is a lot better because his rain swords reduces the damage she takes. And if you have him built with the sacrificial sword, you could guarantee his burst to be up 100% of the time. Now, if you want, you could take off one of these Denjo units and you could put in an Animo unit. Now, I need to show you something that nobody really talks about that much. To be able to swirl Yae Miko's Electro, you have to do an auto attack right before you swirl, especially if you have Denjo on a unit. So I'm going to show you an example here without doing an auto attack and just placing down her E's, and let's see if Kazuha will swirl Electro. So I do this here, and if I swirl, he didn't swirl anything there. Right, so I'm going to use Nahida's E. Proc Denjo there. And if I do, it didn't proc Electro there. But if I do an auto attack, he died. So, I'm going to do this here, do an auto attack, and I swirl the Electro. Now that's not always the case. Maybe ping could be taken into consideration and it affects the ICD, but a lot of times I tend to run into that problem. So just use Nahida's E, do Yae Miko's E, do a normal attack or two, and then swirl, and you switch back. Oh my god, I only have 4 minutes again to wrap up this. I don't know if I have enough time. Alright, so I'll just demonstrate her burst damage with Denjo. Hopefully I have enough time before the server shut down. Alright, Bennett, do your stuff. You have 3 minutes. Alright, so swirl, please. Well, that was 52k on the initial hit, but you could kind of see how much that will be. That will be over 200,000 damage there. Let me see if I get an enemy that could tank it before the servers them shut down. Oh no, I'm running out of time. I probably only have a minute, 2 minutes. Run fast, Kazuha, you're out of stamina. Maybe about a minute and 30 left. I started recording this video at 30 minutes left, and I'm gonna cut this down to... Oh no. Run why am I out of stamina? Run! This is why I use Yelan so much. Alright, we make it. Alright, so I'm gonna do this here. Bennett doesn't have his stuff up. That's okay. We'll do this here. Proc. Do this here. Bennett. And wait, I don't have her burst. Oh no. Oh no, it shouldn't end like this. Oh my god. Well, if you want to check it out, I'll have a live stream maybe tomorrow. You could come and check it out, but that's all I could cover for now. I'm sure there's a lot more I could have covered, but I went through the basis of it, and she's a great unit. She's very, very strong, especially with quick bloom, and her teams, she's relevant right now because any Denjo unit or Hydro unit that comes out, she could be placed in that team because Hyper Bloom is the most OP thing in Genshin Impact, and it will stay like that for a very long time, and she's a very good trigger for it. So yeah, leave it to us below what you think about Yae Miko and how broken she is with Denjo. Hit the like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.
Stars shining really, moon visions in my sight, landing nowhere with the sight. Had to take her with me, she was tasty to my sight, so I had a couple bites. I'm offended, there's no